What's up guys? In this video I'm going to be showing you the differences between a screen print transfer, a clear film screen print transfer, and a full color DTF transfer. By the end of this video I hope that you guys have understood the basics. We're going to be comparing the techniques used to print each of these different transfer types, how they can be used to help you in your business for whatever you are looking to do. Each one of these transfer types has their pros, has their cons, is good for certain things, is bad for others. So by the end of this video, I'm going to be taking you through some real world use cases for each of the different transfer types. Hopefully you'll have a firm understanding on what each transfer type is, how it can benefit you, how it can benefit your business. Before we get started, if you guys are new here, my name is Alex. I'm the owner of AMS Transfers. We're a custom screen print and DTF transfer supplier located in Houston, Texas, and we have been printing transfers since about 2020. We got started in the pandemic, but let's go ahead and start off with our screen print transfers. These are what we started our business printing, and then we have evolved since into what you guys are going to see later in this video. So let's first and foremost start with the screen print transfer. These are screen printed Plastisol transfers. Now, if you guys can see this, I'm pretty sure that you are being able to read it because it's mirrored in the camera. However, for me, it's the opposite. That is because when I go to place it down on the t-shirt, I want it to be the opposite, so then when I peel it, it's actually the right side up. So all heat transfers are going to be printed mirrored, and that's just for, like I said, so it allows you to place the transfer down on the t-shirt, and then when you go to peel it, it'll be the right side up. So a screen printed Plastisol transfer is going to be printed with that Plastisol ink that you can see there, and this is going to have a distinctly different feel than the other two transfers that we're going to look at, and a distinctly different look. So the number one look difference that you guys can probably tell right off of the bat is that these are printed on paper. So they're actually printed on a white, or sometimes they have a blue back type of actual paper. They're not printed on a plastic film. If you are getting Plastisol transfers that are printed on a film, those are not Plastisol screen print transfers. From everything that I have done in my years of business has been done printed on a piece of paper. Whenever it's a Plastisol screen print transfer, that's just because of the release that you need to actually get the Plastisol to come off of the film. It won't come off of the film like it does for this paper. So if you are getting screen print transfers not actually printed on this paper, I would double check with your supplier. But the main way that you can also tell for a screen print transfer is going to be the actual feel of the transfer feel of the ink on the transfer, I should say. It's going to be very rough, like sandpaper, like a cat tongue. If any of you guys have cats out there, pretty unmistakable feel of the ink on the t-shirt. This is a screen print transfer, like I said, so they are printed using an actual screen stencil that has your design burned into it, and then the ink is passed through that stencil to actually get onto the piece of paper like you are seeing. You can print screen print transfers using, which we have here, a manual screen printing press. One of these you can pick up used for a couple $1,000s, but if you want a new one, they're going to start maybe at 10. Or if you guys are really printing a good number of transfers, something like this, an automatic flatbed screen printing press. This is the workhorse that we use to print all of our transfers. It is a solid, stable machine, and something like that new is going to be about $20,000 to $25,000. But again, you can't pick them up used. So that's the equipment that you need to print them, and kind of the process. You run the ink through a stencil on the screen, and you need a different stencil for each color in the design. So kind of going off of that, screen print transfers are going to be absolutely perfect, unbeatable if you need like 100 to 200 sheets of the same design, the same size, and that design happens to be like 1 to 2 colors. Screen print transfers in that specific case that I just laid out, unbeatable. You will not be able to beat that. For what we charge, a 1 color 100 sheet screen print transfer is $2.24, and that is vastly lower than even the cheapest price that we would offer for a DTF transfer at the highest quantity, or for a clear film screen print transfer. Screen print transfers are just, they're really, really good at that one thing, and that is high quantity, low color designs. If you have any order where it is a low color and a super high quantity, I would highly advise using screen print transfers to actually print that order. They are going to be one of the cheapest, one of the most affordable, one of the most durable solutions that you can have for that specific use case. Now, kind of getting into the durability aspect. Screen print transfers have a reputation for their durability. screen printing Plastisol ink is what t-shirts, like everything that you can buy at Walmart and what we have been using to print t-shirts for the better part of the last 50 years is Plastisol ink. So it's no surprise that when you just put that Plastisol ink on a piece of paper and transfer it, you get pretty similar results to actually screen printing it direct. Now, it's not as good as screen printing direct, I will say. Getting the ink deep into the fibers when you actually are pressing it onto the t-shirt directly, that does have a added benefit. However, screen print transfers give you some of the best hand feel. Again, this is a subjective thing, in my opinion at least, some of the best hand feel of any heat transfer out there. And that's just because we're used to feeling Plastisol ink on t-shirts. That's what basically all t-shirts that we probably have in our closet is printed with. It's going to be either water-based or Plastisol ink. So it's something that us as consumers are used to and something that your customers as well will be used to. They'll be like, wow, this feels really nice. When they actually go to feel the transfer on the tee, it's going to feel super thin and it's going to actually breathe with the garment, unlike some of the other transfer types that we'll get into a little bit later into this video. So I hope that nails things down. To summarize, I would basically say that screen print transfers are very good for high quantity, low color designs, unbeatable, and something where they will have their limitation is going to be high color, low quantity. So if you need 6 sheets of a 4-color design, that is going to be very expensive. For example, if you wanted to order from us, that would cost upwards of $40 per sheet for a screen print transfer. But if you wanted that same exact sheet, you could get it for $4.87 as a DTF transfer. So you just got to take in all of these pros, all of these cons into considerations. But with that, I actually want to lead into the next heat transfer that we're going to be talking about, and that is the full color DTF transfers. All right, full color DTF transfers. What does DTF stand for? Let's start with that. DTF is direct to film. So like the name implies, we are printing the ink directly onto the substrate. In this case, it is the film. So we are actually printing it directly onto the film, DTF, direct to film. These are going to be your full color application prints. So if you have a design like this, a whole bunch of colors, you're not going to want to get this printed as a screen print transfer. In fact, most places won't even allow it based on how many colors you have. So you're going to have to get this printed as a DTF, or what we show in the next one, which is our clear film screen print transfers. You're going to need to get something like this printed as one of those. You won't have the option, unfortunately, of choosing between this and a screen print transfer, and that is just because of the number of colors in the design. Screen print transfers are limited to four colors in our case. However, some other shops do go up to 6, but typically screen print transfers will be limited to 4 to 6 colors. Something like this has probably upwards of 20 different colors, so achieving that with the screen print transfer just simply wouldn't be possible. But that is where the limitations of screen print transfer end and the benefits of DTF transfers begin. DTF transfers are going to be perfect for exactly what screen print transfers are bad at. That is high color, low quantity designs. So for this design, for example, you could order just one of them. You could order just this one transfer and we would print and ship it to you just for one transfer. However, if you wanted to do that for a screen print transfer, unfortunately there's just too much setup and teardown that goes into actually burning the screen, reclaiming the screen so that we can get another one ready at the end of the day. That would go into that to make it worth our while to just print one transfer. Now DTF transfers are going to be printed on either a glossy or they can come in matte film. And the back of it, as you guys can maybe tell, is going to have a texture that is really similar to that of an orange peel. So I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with what an orange looks and feels like. And not only is it going to really look like one, but as you rub your finger over it, it'll even feel like one. So DTF transfers have this characteristic that is unmistakable. Once you see it, you'll be able to spot it on any other transfer. So make sure you guys keep out for that, especially as we get into the next transfer type. It's going to be easy to confuse the two, but that is a telltale sign that you're dealing with the DTF transfer if you guys see that orange peel-like feeling coating on the actual back of the transfer. Another thing to note, especially before we get into the next one, is the actual feel and thinness of the plastic carrier sheet being used for DTF transfers. DTF transfers have a lot thinner plastic, a lot more malleable. You can kind of do anything to it, and It just is a little bit thinner of a plastic than what I will get into in the next one, which is our clear film screen prints. But again, the pros of DTF transfers are going to be they are perfect for low quantity, high color designs, and they do not have minimums with most shops. And typically they are printed a lot quicker than a screen print transfer. This is all just due to the setup and teardown required for screen print transfers. When it comes to the feel on the t-shirt, these do have a bit more of a feel, and if you guys do have any experience with DTF transfers, hopefully you guys don't have the same thing that we hear time and time again on TikTok where DTF transfers feel plasticky and like they are really, like there's something on the t-shirt. There's a thick piece of something on the t-shirt. That is going to be highly dependent on the supplier that you are getting your DTF transfers from. I wish I could say that all DTF transfers are the same. However, they just aren't. There's a lot of settings and things that can be dialed in order to make the feeling on the t-shirt feel like there's almost nothing there and more like that of a screen print transfer. So that's just going to be something that you have to find as a consumer of DTF transfers, one that really fits to your needs and suits the requirements that you're looking for. And DTF transfers are going to be printed using a digital printer. So we use this printer here to print all of our DTF transfers, and then after they get printed, they go through this drying oven, which actually cures the transfers for final use. And something like this, the setup that you guys are seeing back here, depending on who you buy from, it could be starting at like $10,000 upwards of $30,000 because there's a whole bunch of different brands and suppliers for these guys. I have some other videos on my channels if you guys are interested, but if you guys do not want to, I mean, look at how much room each of these printers take up. Or if you guys don't have the space or the funds at this current moment to purchase something like this that you guys see behind me, we do offer a service on our website, AMS Transfers Plus, that allows you to create your own web store to sell DTF transfers. So if you guys have a catalog of designs that you guys would be interested in selling as a DTF transfer, we now allow you to do that on a web store of your own. So for example, once a customer would place an order on your site, we would be the ones actually printing, packaging, and shipping the order to your customer, so you wouldn't even have to lift a finger once that customer places an order. All you would be responsible for is getting the customer to your site, and then from there, we'll take care of it, make sure that we get your DTF transfers printed, shipped to your customer in a 1 business day turnaround time. So if that's something that you're interested in, this could be a great way to get started just selling DTF transfers. You could also offer customs, so your customer could upload their own design to the website. We'll get it printed and shipped to them. It can be a really, really effective solution to just get started. And if you guys are interested in that, amstransfers.com/plus. All right, guys, last but not least, these are our clear film screen print transfers. Now, you might be asking yourself, I've heard of screen print or clear film screen print transfers on TikTok before. Guys, unfortunately, I hate to tell you that there are a lot of people out there that seem to be marketing DTF transfers as clear film screen print transfers, and that's just unfortunately due to greed, because something like this can command a lot higher price than just a standard DTF transfer. So let me break it down for you guys so you guys know exactly what a clear film screen print transfer is, so that you guys can avoid getting hustled, you guys can stay away from the scams, and you guys can ultimately know more about what you're getting at the end of the day. So a clear film screen print transfer is going to be a hybrid transfer type. So it's going to combine the best of screen printing and the best of DTF. Now, how it does that is it uses an automatic screen printing press, and I'll insert a picture right now. So instead of having 3 heads on the auto, you replace that with what is called a digital squeegee, and there's a couple other brands and manufacturers that make it, so it might not necessarily be exactly the same. But instead of those 3 print heads, which would typically be used for screens and Plastisol ink, water-based, whatever, it's a digital squeegee, and that is, for what it's worth, just think of it like a DTF printer in place of those 3 print heads. So you can get the best of screen printing combined with not using all of the screens required to make a full color design. Now what that does is, let's take a look at the design here. So there is a full white underbase, and then on top there's the color layer. Now what they do is we use a white screen to actually print the underbase for this design, and this is screen printed, typically using a water-based acrylic ink. So we print that white underbase actually using screen printing, and then we index the press to the digital squeegee, and then at that point, we come over top of that white underbase that was screen printed with the CMYK digital ink that is printed using that printer head that I was talking about in place of the 3. So with this, all we need to do is screen print the underbase with just one screen, and then we can come over top of it and print unlimited colors. So the place that's actually interfacing with the t-shirt, that's screen printing. However, the part that we all see is the CMYK beautiful color design. It's pretty interesting. Now, you might be wondering how this is all done. So I inserted that picture earlier. A machine like that to actually fit the digital squeegee, I'm told that you need an 11 color 16 station automatic press, and some of those start at about $100,000 and only go up from there. And that's just the press, not including the digital squeegee, which itself can start at like $50,000. So just the equipment alone to print what you guys are seeing here is upwards of $150,000 to $200,000. So because it also does still have a screen that has to be burned, as well as the high equipment cost, the high cost of training an individual to use that equipment, these type of transfers, they're expensive. And unfortunately, they're also not going to be the best if you need low quantities. So if you need low quantities, these are still going to be pretty expensive. I've seen some companies out there charging like $100 a sheet for like 1 to 4. So I don't know about all that, but they are going to be pretty expensive, unfortunately. They can start getting to a reasonable price once you get into like the 100 quantity. So it's kind of like I said with the Plastisol screen print transfers, they really come into their own when you get up to those high quantities, unfortunately. So it does combine the best of DTF and the best of screen printing, but unfortunately it still takes with it some of the negative characteristics that do come with screen printing, and that being that it's not the most effective solution for low quantity runs. Okay, now how to spot the differences. So I'm going to try and get a close-up in for you guys. Hopefully you guys can tell. The back of a clear film screen print is kind of going to feel a little bit powdery. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to come through on your end from the camera, but it's just not a screen print transfer where it's like really rough like sandpaper, and it's not a DTF transfer where you get that orange peel effect. It's definitely somewhere in between. You kind of get like a little bit of a powdery feeling, and it's just not as rough as a Plastisol screen print transfer. And something that I wanted to note, if you guys remember from earlier, DTF transfers are going to be printed on that thinner feeling film. Well, this particular clear film screen print transfer is matte. Like I said, DTF can also come in matte, so that's not the best way to tell. But the actual best way to tell is going to be the actual thickness and feel of the carrier sheet with a clear film screen print. You're going to really feel the difference. If you had two of them next to each other, you would be unmistakable in choosing which one was the clear film, which was the DTF, just because of how they feel. The thickness on the clear film is, I can't measure it, but I would say it feels about double as thick for a DTF transfer comparatively. So that's the best way to tell, next to the actual feel and look of the powder on the back for the underbase. All right, guys, I have the heat press heating up right now. We'll get those guys pressed, but before I do, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a quiz before we actually get these guys pressed and wrap up here. So, all right, the test is in session. All right, so say you have a customer coming to you with a design. It has like 15 to 20 different colors, and they only want 8 sheets. What type of heat transfer that I showed you guys in this video would be the best for you? Did you say DTF transfers? If so, you are correct. For something like that, really a DTF transfer is probably going to be one of your only solutions, unless you're trying to really, you have a customer that will pay basically anything for it. Because if that's the case, then you probably could go with a clear film screen print transfer. However, most customers, speaking from experience, are not like that, and basically the only thing they care about is the actual price of the garments. So something like that, DTF transfers are going to be great. Question number 2. You have a customer coming to you who has had bad experiences with other transfer types feeling plasticky on the t-shirt. They do not want DTF transfers. They hate DTF transfers, but their design has a whole bunch of colors. Let's say 5 to 8 colors. What are you going to do? Which transfer type are you going to choose? Did you say a clear film screen print transfer? If so, I hope that customer has a big wallet or they're ordering a lot of designs, because that is going to be an expensive order. Unless the order is actually over like 100 sheets, then it might be actually reasonable. But for those type of customers, we have encountered them ourselves. Some people just, they've had bad experiences with DTF transfers in the past. And that's really unfortunate for people like us who actually do try and do our best to make the transfer feel as light, thin, and breathable on the garment. So typically what we do for that case is try and just show the customer a sample of the transfers that we can make as a DTF transfer. Hopefully then we can show them that, hey, not all DTF transfers feel the same, and what we can provide is actually a quality DTF transfer that you're probably going to be happy with. So sometimes we do that, but again, we've had customers who just absolutely hate DTF transfers. They are unwilling to use it, and for them, unfortunately, there's like not much that you can do other than a clear film screen print transfer, and they're going to have to pay for something like that. Those are going to be a costly order, but at the end of the day, it will put some money in your pocket, and you will be able to say yes to them. You won't have to be like, I don't know what to tell you. You won't have to lie to them. You could just be like, all right, I have this option. It's a hybrid, kind of best of screen printing, best of DTF, but it has the feel more like a screen print than a DTF transfer. If you guys answered both of those questions on the test, I feel like I've done a pretty good job in this video conveying the actual strengths, negatives, and key points of each of the heat transfers. So I think the heat press is just about up to temperature. Let's go ahead, apply each of these different transfer types, and see how they look on the tee. All right, guys, got the transfers all lined up on the t-shirt. We're going to be doing it at 315, so we should be able to evenly hit the range that is required for all 3 of these heat transfers type. They're all fairly similar in that regard, so works out for me in this test. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a Teflon sheet over most of the designs, and then we'll get this guy heat pressed. All right, so we have our DTF transfer at the bottom, Plastisol screen print transfer at the middle, and our clear film screen print transfer at the top. So let's go ahead and start at the top with our clear film screen print transfer. Cut, peeled perfectly with nothing left on the transfer sheet. Now let's move on to the Plastisol screen print transfer. Again, another perfect peel with nothing left on the transfer sheet. Last but not least, let's do our DTF transfer. Another perfect peel with nothing left on the transfer sheet. So now let's take a look at each of the designs and see how each of them did. It would probably be helpful if I had the same design for each of the different transfer types. Unfortunately, I did not plan that far ahead. What you're going to really feel here is that the DTF transfers and the clear film screen prints, they're going to have a very similar feel. I don't want to sugarcoat it. I don't want to lie to you guys. But at the end of the day here, for the uneducated hand, these are going to feel very similar. This has just a very unique and different texture feel compared to these two. These two, really, they just feel the same. I don't want to say similar, but they're basically the same. And that, like I said, if you guys are understanding the process that I've laid out for you, they're basically printed very similarly. The only difference being that the underbase on a DTF transfer is actually printed with the DTF printer, whereas the underbase with this is printed with screen print. So the feel on this, I would say, is, it's just so good. I wish I could show you guys, like you guys could just put your hand here and feel all 3 of the differences. This one, I would say, is, they're both really similar. They're both really good, honestly. So it's all very subjective. I can't really tell you this one feels better than the other. It's just going to be something that you guys have to feel for yourself. And if you are interested, we do have sample boxes with each of these 2 transfer types in them, so you guys can request a free sample box and do what I just did. Try each of the transfers on a tester t-shirt and feel for yourself which transfer feels the best for you and will work for your use case, your given order, whatever it is. But I hope this video has been helpful to you. If you guys did learn anything, you learned a lot about heat transfers, please leave a like on the video down below. If you guys are interested in seeing more from me, I have been vlogging my entire journey throughout the past 2 years of creating this business, AMS Transfers, getting delivery of these 2 DTF printers, setting them up, everything about it behind the scenes on this channel that you guys are watching. So hit the subscribe button if any of that sounds interesting to you. Check out my backlog of content. There's 2 whole years of vlogs for showing you guys how we've made it to where you guys are right now. So thank you so much if you guys made it this far along in the video. Leave any comments down below with questions that you guys have, and I will make sure to reply to them. But with that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.